And welcome. I guess I don't really need to introduce myself since I know everyone in the room. Some of you I met just today, but at least we've had a chance to be introduced. It's my pleasure to introduce one of my friends and colleagues, Father Ignatius Payyappilly, who comes to us from Kerala in southwest India. We've been friends since 2008, my first visit to Kerala, and I've been going back almost every year since, sometimes with HMML friends, sometimes just on my own, to follow up the work that we've been doing with projects to digitize both Syriac manuscripts, work which actually began the year before with support from HMML. And since 2008, since that first visit, has also included the palm leaf archival materials that Father Ignatius will speak to us about today. I've had the pleasure of being in his family home and drinking the coconut milk from the coconut, which is taken from the coconut tree before my very eyes, which is a wonderful experience. His education is in the minor and major seminary at Al-Waye, which is the seminary for the Syro-Malabar Archbishopric in Kerala. His MA in history is from the Indira Gandhi University in New Delhi, followed by an MA in Archives and Records Management at the University of Liverpool. And I think it was after that that you came here in 2011 for a month, where our own brother Andrew, who for many years worked in book repair in Auckland Library, taught him how to make the perfect box for a manuscript or rare book, and who certified at the end that he was a very good student. And you need to know Brother Andrew to appreciate that that is a rare compliment. He's since then done his PhD work at Indira Gandhi University, and that's what he'll be telling us a little bit more about today. His current position is as archivist and curator for the Archdiocese of Ernakulam Angamali, and Ernakulam is the major city in Kerala, and that's also the seat of the Syro-Malabar Archbishop. This is not the time to give a presentation on the different churches of South India. Some of that may come up in his remarks today, but we can talk about that on another occasion. His interest in archives, in older material objects, and church preservation has earned him the nickname of Father Antique, particularly among the younger clergy who don't always share an appreciation of these things. But I think all of us are grateful to Father Ignatius for recognizing many years ago the importance of the documentary heritage of the St. Thomas Christian community, as well as for churches, carvings, and other objects which testify to this extraordinary tradition in India. Father Ignatius.
Thank you very much, Father Columba, for your good words and introduction. And I am very happy to hand over my doctorate thesis to Father Columba as a gift. See, you may think that how big it is. I have extracted the history from the palm leaves. So I am quite happy to hand over this one.
You're going to hand it to me now.
This is presented to HMML as a token of my gratitude.
Well, that's marvelous. Congratulations. Let's put it here.
Anyway, I have brought something to see with your naked eyes. That means palm leaf. This is what is called palm leaf grantha. That means book. This is the book form of palm leaves. Then the other one is single leaf. These three small bundles are belonging to 3 parishes, and you can see it and experience how is it. And you may have some curiosity to see how it will be. You are going to see some images, and I know that no image can give the full pleasure of seeing the material directly. So I have taken something. So here, my presentation will be based on my PhD thesis actually, but I am not going to give a full presentation. This is not an open defense, I know. So I give a little bit of information about palm leaf, as well as the content which is inside of the palm leaves, which are kept in the different Syrian Catholic churches in Kerala. So here the very title of my research is Syrian Christian Communities and Socio-Economic Life in the Vembanad Lake area in the 19th century. So I have taken the palm leaves between 1800 to 1900, so 100 years of palm leaves. And In the Archdiocese archive, we have got almost 40,000 palm leaves in its original form. Then we have got digital images of 60,000 palm leaves, which are collected from the different denominations belonging to the Syrian Christian community. And as you know, this is a primary source of my research, and I have made use of very little quantity of the palm leaves. Only nearly 500 palm leaves I have used for my research, not more than that. So you can imagine how much rich the material is. Then, actually my obligation towards HMML is that I have used the digital images, not the originals, because as you know, once you see, it is not quite easy to read. In earlier times it was quite easy to read, but nowadays I too find it very difficult to read it with my naked eyes. Once it is digitized, as you know, we can zoom it and read it very easily. In 2007, one of my good friends, Professor Istvan Persel, who is the professor in the Central European University of Budapest, he came to Kerala. Actually, he came in 2002. And he started the digitization project. Actually, he did not start at that time. He was looking for the manuscripts there. And in 2005, he started the digitization with a fund he has got from the Tübingen University in Germany. And thus he came to me and he asked our cooperation to digitize the Syriac manuscripts in Kerala. And thus he started the digitization together with me. And at that time, he has seen these palm leaves. I have shown him, we have got these palm leaves. I don't know how to digitize all these materials. Then he told me that I don't have the fund for the digitization of the palm leaves. So we have to look for someone to help us. Thus, after 1 year, he came and told me, Father, I have met with Father Columba, who is the executive director of HMML, and he has agreed to help us to digitize the palm leaf material. Thus, in 2007, Father Columba has given the consent and we started the digitization, but he hasn't seen that. In 2008, when Father Columba visited us, he has seen the rich material which are kept with us. Then he told us that he will be happy to give the full funding so you can have the technicians with you and start the digitization. Thus, we started the digitization of the palm leaves in 2007, but in full pledge in 2008. And making use of these rich material, I started my research. And nowadays, there are many students from different corners of Kerala. They come to us to learn how to read it and how to use this material. And the digitization of palm leaf material started with the support of HMML in 2007. So we are really proud of telling your cooperation, and also we proclaim it, and I have already mentioned it in the thesis also. Then, therefore, as a token of my gratitude, I wanted to give a copy of the same to you. Then, as you know, many studies were already done on Syrian Christians, these different denominations of Syrian Christians, but none of them were using these original primary sources. Most of them were justifying their current affiliation and trying to trace this to the ancient period and either look at the history of the community or deal with the cultural aspects like its tradition and the organization of church. History of this community has mostly been written with ideological biases, interpreting sources mainly secondary. But none of these have made use of the palm leaf collection of the churches. That is the difference between my study and the studies which are already done. But study based on the palm leaves and other primary sources discovered recently would open a new path, that of well-documented micro-history. And such a study will throw new light on the relations of the production of colonial economy too. Then, church palm leaves and manuscripts of Kerala are among the least exploited sources of historical studies and academic inquiry. When I say about this, I am not simply speaking about the church circle alone. This is what is happening even in the secular world. We have got millions and millions of palm leaves in the government archives. Unfortunately, students are not happy to go and study those things because they find it very difficult. They have to learn the paleography first. They are not patient enough, and the teachers are not, though they are encouraging to use this material, students are not going, and the teachers are also not forcing the students to go and get the material. That is the situation even today in Kerala. And Christian historiography in Kerala could be properly assessed only if such documents are exploited properly. Why? Because everything is written on palm leaf in the churches, especially in the church circle. You can see it in as I continue. No critical and comparative research study was done in this field. Why? Because unawareness. Historians and researchers were not aware of such materials. That means in the church circle. Then inaccessibility. Palm leaf records kept in the churches were not accessible to the public and researchers. Even today, it is this situation. They are not ready to open. I don't know why. Even if the organic material is being destroyed, they are not worried. Then indifference. Custodians are indifferent and their unwelcoming attitude towards the historians and researchers. Another thing, unawareness of the epigraphy and paleography. Then damaged and not readable. Then danger of the destruction, improper preservation. That is most important dangerous aspect. Then unfortunately most of these organic materials approach the end of their natural life. You might have already seen it from the original palm leaves. They have got a lifespan, as you know, it is an organic material. So if we are not properly preserving, everything will be destroyed. It is a tropical country and the climate is not at all suited for the preservation. So we are, in our archive, we keep it in a air-conditioned room where the temperature and humidity is controlled. Otherwise, it is not possible to be preserved for a long period. Then huge volume of material disappeared by human destruction. That means very often when the people see that they are not able to read it, what will happen? The sweeper will take it to the outside and they will burn it. And thus we have lost a huge volume of material. This is the condition, how people are preserving. This is in a Jacobite church. The palm leaves are bundled in a sack and kept on the top of the shelf. And when we have reached there, they brought it there. Then, like this, they simply keep it somewhere in the corner of the room, like this, in the corner. This is a palm leaf book attacked by the insects. You have already seen the book. How is it inside? Very often, insects find their best food in the palm leaves. And regarding the palm leaf, we have to be very cautious that it is not written with ink. Never ink is used in Kerala. But in Orissa, they use ink. That is the difference in Kerala. Orissa is now called Odisha. It is a North Indian state. They use ink. And in Nepal also, I hope that they have used ink. So that you can see a lot of pictures in the palm leaves. But here in Kerala, you can never see any picture because they used the iron nail to write it. That means either they hold like this or they hold like this. That means in between the finger, and they inscribe on it. And they use some kind of charcoal powder and apply on it and just shake it. Then you can read each and every letter. That was the system. And they preserved in the cane boxes. And in the cane box, they applied this pepper or ginger or such other organic spices which could protect these palm leaves to a certain extent. After 60 or 70 years or maximum 100 years, they copied it again and again without any change in the document. So whenever they copied, they have written this is a copy, true copy. of the original document. Thus, it was continued. Unfortunately, after a period, that means after 1900, people became very lazy to write down these things. So we don't get original copies even. That is the situation. And this is a nail which is used. Then after the chemical treat in Ernakulam, in my archive, after the chemical treat and digitization, we wrap it in the acid-free neutralized paper, then keep it in the carton boxes. And these are the boxes in which the palm leaves are kept in Ernakulam Archdiocese archive. And the languages. In Kerala, there are 3 languages used for writing the palm leaves in the church circle. They are the Malayalam, written in Vatteluthu and Kolethu. They have the primitive form of our present mother tongue. That means Malayalam. Then Gershuni. That means it is the Syrian script is used. For writing our mother tongue material. That means Malayalam. So the people, those who are familiar or able to read both Syriac and Malayalam, they can use it. Otherwise, people cannot read it. That is the situation. Then Aryad. This is also modern Grantha form from the 17th century. Then modern Malayalam. So different forms of the Malayalam language is used. Then Tamil. Tamil is also in 2 forms, original old Tamil as well as the Vatteluthu. Vatteluthu is also a primitive form of Tamil. Then Syriac. And we have got very few material written in Syriac because only the liturgical texts were written in Syriac. And in my custody, I don't have, but there is another fellow who is keeping a Syriac palm leaf grantha, that means book, with him, which is a liturgical text. Unfortunately, that fellow is not happy even to digitize that material. Myself and Father Columba tried to convince him, but nothing happened. Then, palm leaves are important. Why? In the church circle, majority of these records are written on palm leaves until the end of the 19th century. That means we did not use the paper. And as you know, paper was introduced in India by the British people. And in Kerala especially, only by the beginning of the 20th century, it was made available to the common people. And also it was so costly. But at the same time, palm leaves were so cheap and they could buy it from the market. And it is not made by everyone. It is just like the paper, it is sold in the market, and the people, those who want to get it, they have to go to the market, and it is prepared in such a way that it cannot be prepared by everyone. So different palms are there, different kinds of palm leaves are there. So particular type of palms were only used for writing. And everyone could not write. Everyone could read, but everyone could not write. That is the problem. To use this nail, they should be trained. So I shall tell you later. Then there were scribes attached to the churches who were specialists in palm leaf writing. And remember, these scribes were mainly Hindus, no more Christian. That means they were very faithful to the church, and they have given the salary either in the form of rice or in the form of paddy, and not in the form of money, very often. And every activity and the transaction was recorded on palm leaf, everything. That means not the death register, baptism register, marriage register, including the day-to-day activities. Every kind of activity is inscribed on the palm leaf. That means they have written it and kept it in the church. And whenever they wrote, 3 copies were made. That is also quite interesting. First one, for example, if it is something related to the church, Then first copy, it will be kept with the parish priest, one copy. Then second copy, it will be kept with the trustees, one of the trustees. That means usually there will be 2 or 3 trustees in a parish. And one will be kept with the trustee. Then the third one will be kept in the locker. And the church locker, 7 locks are there. Yeah, even today there are in all the parishes, they have got 7 locks, such a big locker. That means 3 keys are kept with Father Vicar, that means parish priest. Then 2 keys are with one trustee and the 2 other keys are with another trustee. So when these 3 people come together, they can open the locker, otherwise they cannot. So that no malpractice was possible, especially in the records. So that was the system. Then, from the historical point of view, family records are one of the best primary sources to write history, such as local history, family history, social history, moral history, religious history, agricultural history, economic history. That means accounting and bookkeeping, then demography, medicine, besides church history, liturgical history, theology, catechism, etc. So many things can be written from this. And I have taken this bookkeeping and accounting from this, and church administration too as part of that, my thesis. Available family records are historical, not historical books. That is something quite interesting. These are not historical books as such, but they are the evidences of daily activities. Therefore, they are not biased or one-sided record. They are records of day-to-day affairs for the present and immediate future activities and not written to be sources for the future history writing. Therefore, they present facts without fact. So these family documents, books of daily accounts of the Syrian churches reveal the close relation of Syrian Christians and their churches to the other communities and social customs and practices of the locality. Even the scribes working for the churches were from Hindu castes, especially Pillars and Menons. And it is quite interesting that how we can know that whether the scribe was a Christian or not. Because in the palm leaf, whenever they wrote a record, they have written the name of the scribe to whom, by whom, and who has written this particular document. All these things are on the same leaf. Then, the existing family manuscripts in the churches include letters, land deeds, agreements, receipts, books of the daily accounts, applications, complaints, government papers, indigenous medicines, liturgical systems, agriculture, financial matters, geographical descriptions of the regions, communications between church officials and government officials, moral issues, trade, education, cultivation, socio-economic practices in the society, etc. So many activities. That means almost all kinds of activities are there. So, micro-historic study by focusing on small communities on their everyday life, routine work practices, ceremonies, rituals, social and economic activities, etc. through the primary sources will help to develop a macro history of a greater area. Then this is a family grantha. We could not read the exact date because we have got only 2 letters there in the book. The edge has already eaten by the insect. So we could not read it. I hope that it is of 1774. This is Acts of the Apostles. This small book. The entire images are here in the HMML. We have already digitized this one. Then this is inside of the family grantha. This is actually Acts of the Apostles. That means not from the Bible. It is an apocrypha. So since it is an apocrypha and it is written in Malayalam, this is a rare book and we are seeing it as a precious one. Then family letter of 1845. This is a letter. You can see the letter, both sides are used. So this is a college. That means this is the primitive form of our present mother tongue. That means Malayalam. So everybody cannot read it. Those who know the Malayalam, even if we assume it, we cannot. They have to learn the paleography, then only they can read it. And how many letters are there, how many words are there, how many lines are there? You see, this small one you already might have noticed in the palm leaf. Though it is so small, how patiently they have written on it. Many things were written on the single same sheet. See, this is the other side of that. You can see so many signatures. See, this is the signature by the bishop. That means this is the summary of the account, annual account, consolidated annual account, submitted the bishop from a church. Then here you can see the Syriac signature, then the signatures of the other priests, parish priest, and other priests, those who are residing in the same parish, then the trustees, the other members of the general body assembly, then it is already passed, that means approved by the bishop. You can see with a cross the name of the bishop. So everything is there. Then this is a record of the consolidated annual account of 1871. See, different months and the total amount, everything is there. And on the other side, you can see the signature of the authorities. These are the account books of the families of 1840. See, each and every day they have written the account, and it is like this when we put them together. Here too you can see the signature. This is a Syriac signature, Syriac one. This is in Latin. This is a signature. These are the letters written in 1870s. Each and every family is a letter. When the people or the parish priest wrote letter to the bishop, on the other side you can see the reply. So application is on one side and the reply on the other side. So we don't have a second copy of the same anywhere. So these single and precious things are kept in the churches like this. You can see, I shall show you how it is kept. Anyway, these are the letters which we unfolded for the digitization. Each and every one is digitized now. Then, this is a partition deed between a Jacobite church and a Catholic church. It is also in Corinth. And a beautiful article was written by a professor basing on this and published in the International Journal from Germany, I think, with the help of Professor Strand Perse. They have published it. It is a partition deed. And we have got such partition deed between the Catholics and Jacobites. We have got more than 12 such partition deeds. So it is not written on the paper, it is on the palm leaf. So the original palm leaf is very important in that sense. This is a slave deed. You may wonder that the slavery was abolished in US, I think in the 17th century. But 17th or 18th? 18th century. 19th. Okay. In Kerala too, it was existing among the Syrian Christians and among the upper caste people in India. And it was practiced by the Syrian Catholics, even not only Catholics, Syrian Christians as a whole. That means Jacobites as well as Catholics. And people were buying the slave cars from the market and made use of them in such a way that sometimes the single family was separated and sold to different persons. This is a typical example of that. This slave deed, This is the slave, a translation of that slave deed. To let my son-in-law know, Kurumba, it is the name of a woman, slave woman, a Pulaya woman, and Kunyan, her husband, a Pulayan, whom Pulayan means this is a caste, Pulayan caste. The caste system was existing at that time. As you know, 4 castes were there, Brahmins, then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, then Shudra. These people belonging to the lower caste. And the Syrian Catholics and Syrian Christians, they were considered as the upper caste, one among the upper caste. So they had the freedom to buy and sell these kinds of people. So Pulayan whom I bought Tir means it is a slave deed, from Vellattumel Chimna, that means it is a name of a Nair, by paying the price as I sold Kurumba, Kurumba means the woman, the Pulaya woman, to Payyappilly Muriyil Chanku Nair. Nair is also an upper caste, equal to the Syrian Christians. And her daughter Aya, Kurumba, to Irali Itichin Bari. So Kurumba, the woman was sold to one fellow, then Aya, the daughter was given to another fellow, and in the month, in the year, this is Kollam era, that means Malayalam era. So together with, we have to add 825, then we will get the present era, that means 1845, I think. I give Kunyan, Pulayan to you as part of dowry, together with 300 Puttan. Puttan means it is the currency which is used at that time. And I give Tir, that means written document, and agree that hereafter myself or my descendants will not have any right over him. This is the 11th Vrishchigam month in the year 1018, written by, this is the scribe, Paraya Vitil Govindan Padmanabhan. This is a Hindu scribe. Then witnesses, 2 Christian witnesses are there. Then their signatures. This is the slave deed. And conclusion is very clear. See, a slave trade among the Syrian Christians, slave family is separated forever. That means 3 members with 3 masters. Then slave market at Parvo. Then practice of giving slaves as dowry. Practice of recording dowry with witnesses. Keeping a copy of the same in the church as a record and giving pasarim to the church. Tithe. It has to be given. And there was another practice of giving dowry among the Syrian Christians. And these are the examples of that pamphlets. Then, for example, giving dowry, what is written in that, it is like this. That means for 2000, chakram is the currency of that time in one of the small kingdom. 2000, pasaram was given 151. This pasaram was divided among the priest and the church. So if it was 300, 150 will be for the priest, 150 for the parish. That was the system. So dowry was a precondition and fixed before marriage. Pasaram was given by the father of the bride, 5 to 7% of the dowry. Nadavalakkam was given by the bridegroom. Pasaram was equally divided among the church and parish priest. No percentage was given to priests from the Nadavalakkam. A copy of the dowry agreement was preserved in the churches to avoid future dispute. Then witness fee was given to the church or priest or trustee if they were witnesses of giving the dowry. Then marriage was conducted only after giving dowry at the time of betrothal. Special amount was offered by the couple at the time of venerating the cross after the marriage. Special silk dress and gold ornaments and decorated umbrella were provided from the church to both bride and bridegroom for rent. This so many practices. Everything is found from the pamphlets. Nobody knew before that. This is an application sent to a parishioner to the General Assembly. Then applicant requests the General Assembly to settle a property issue in which he, his brothers and neighbor were involved. Many such letters were found among the family records which shows that the role of General Assembly in the social life of the people. Then, this is the first travelogue ever written in Malayalam, in our mother tongue. It was written in 1789. This was written on the palm leaf. And this is the same manuscript which is written on paper by the same author. So two manuscripts are there. This is the first travelogue. Then you can see all the Christian songs written in the 17th century on palm leaves. Then these are the Bible stories written on palm leaves. That means books. Then this is a catechism text on palm leaf. Then these are the Tamil palm leaves, for example. This is a official government record. You can see the signature, the seal, government seal with government emblem and everything. If it is a land deed and registered in the government office, then you will get these kinds of signatures are there by the government officials, and the seal is there. Then this is a letter given to the trustee. Then this is the form how the letters are kept, long letters are kept before the digitization. See, this is the inside of that letter. This is from the bishop's house, and you can see so many signatures by the applicants. So, this is the summary of the situation of the palm leaves in Kerala. So these just palm leaves were now digitized with the help of HMML, and we are really grateful to you for giving us the great support to digitize as well as to make use of this material for further studies. Now you have got ample time to ask your doubts if you have.
What's a calendar? You said you had 800 years. What is that calendar based on? What is the start? What year is the year two?
Palm leaves? Palms from the very beginning, but the paper was actually used only from the 20th century.
Now, when did you start counting years? Where does zero in our time? Or what incident?
For us, 825 is considered as the beginning of Malayalam era. That means our in our account. So when they write the palm leaves, they begin with Kollam era 01. That means AD 825. Then 02, AD 826. Thus they begin to write the palm leaves. We haven't got any palm leaf prior to 825. As you know, it is an organic material. So when they started writing, they used always this Malayalam era, that means Kollam era, we call Kollam era, that means Malayalam era, but no more English era, AD. They began to write AD only after the arrival of the English people. That means in the late 18th century, from the late 18th century. Yes.
Is there some event that began the Malayalam era?
Yeah.
Why did they begin counting?
They began with the big destruction which happened with a flood in 825. So that is considered as the era of beginning of the new era. Yeah.
So this is a really general question, and this is where you start when you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm just interested, it's a really good question, sorry to make it so big, but what is our oldest text we have from Syriac Christians in India? Like how far the palm leaves go back? What do you have there?
Actually, the oldest material which we have, some palm leaf granthas, that means it belongs to the 17th century actually. That 17th century material, catechism. That is one book. Another one is Christian songs, then Christian stories. Then we have these church accounts and land deeds. They are the primary old materials, that means on palm leaf we have.
So that's early modern.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, when the Portuguese were coming, is it tied to
Exactly,
Catholicism
exactly,
moving
that
into
is an
the-
important question. We had material prior to the Portuguese. Unfortunately, they have destroyed everything. That means we have got recently a beautiful record, which is written in 1602. 1602. In that, it is stated that after the Diamber Synod, which was convoked in 1599, Archbishop Menezes and his first nominated bishop for the Syrian Christians, Francis Rose, both of them, they were so particular to collect all the materials from the churches, and they, with a prejudice in their mind that everything had this Nestorian teachings and everything. So, to cleanse the Syrian Christians from the Nestorian teachings and so on, they made a pretension that you please bring everything. Let us read and ensure that nothing is wrong. That means against the Catholic teaching. So the poor people, obeying the authorities, they brought everything, and the eyewitness has written like this: the whole material was heaped together and burned. And when the smoke was going up and the flames were going up, the priests, those who were around, they were weeping and crying in such a way that they were doing like this. The entire history has been destroyed like that, because they had an intention that Christianity had no history in India prior to the arrival of Portuguese people. That was their intention. Yeah. Thus we have lost the pre-Portugal materials. And we could save, that means at that time, people could save very few manuscripts. One is the Nomocanon of the last Chaldean metropolitan, Mark Abraham. It is written in 1563, and it is with us. Then another one, Nomocanon, written in 1291. It is also kept. Somehow the owner did not take it to the authorities, so it could survive the flames of the anger of Archbishop Menezes and Archbishop Ross. Yeah.
I have two questions. I've seen in like the Asian Art Museum or something this book, palm leaves with illustrations.
Yeah.
The palm leaves are shaped like that.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could say something about that tradition. And then the second question is, in these palm leaves, like, are there any illustrations or is it always text?
That means restoration, you mean?
Illustration.
Illustrations,
Images.
yeah.
Images.
Yeah. I have already told in the beginning, in Kerala, we don't have any such kind of illustrations because no painting was found. So only the written materials were found in Kerala. While in other states, including in Sri Lanka, you can see images and illustrations there. So through the pictures, they have illustrated many ideas and stories. But here, since the ink is not used in Kerala, we cannot see such depictions on the illustrations on the palm leaves. But there are palm leaves in the northern states. And you can see, if you go through the Google, you can see so many images which they have already, illustrations in the palm leaves in the northern side. Yeah.
Could you say something about inscriptions and copper plates?
Yeah.
Because these would be older sources.
Oh yeah, I have. I thought of showing some inscriptions on the these granites and in the copper plate. Because I was too much conscious of the time, I thought that it is better to avoid it. See, we have got some very rare, precious documents, that means granite inscriptions. A lot of granite inscriptions are found in Kerala, especially among the Syrian Christians. It is related to the tombstone Some of them are related to tombstones. Some of them are related to the erection of a church. That means in which year, by whom it was erected. Then another thing, inscriptions on the granite crosses. For example, Syrian inscriptions are found on the granite crosses. One inscription is Lamb of God, who takes away the sins of the world. Such inscriptions are found in Syriac. Then, who has erected this particular cross, in which year, and blessed by whom? Such inscriptions are found. Then again, tombstones, they speak very good history. That means the person, name of the person, then the death, the date of the death, and the amount entrusted to the church for celebrating the Holy Mass. That means foundation Mass. All those things are there on the inscriptions. Then another one is very important document is the copper plate. The oldest copper plate belongs to the 849. That is the oldest Syrian Christian record which we have in Kerala. It is with the Orthodox community. Unfortunately, it is kept in a locker where they are not happy to show anyone. But at the same time, if you people go, they may be happy to show you. That means they don't want to show us, the Catholics. But when the foreigners come, the Katholika Baba is quite happy to show it.
I know I should be quiet because I've already asked a question, but
Yeah.
is there anything in Persian or Pahlavi?
It is not Pahlavi, it is the old waters. Pahlavi crosses are found, where the Pahlavi inscriptions are found. I think more than 8 crosses are found in Kerala with Pahlavi
Inscriptions?
inscription. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't-
yeah. It belongs to the 8th century or 9th century. Yeah, it is said that it is of the either 8th century or 9th century. Almost 8 crosses are found. Yeah.
So I'm trying to picture myself if I were to do this on the palm leaf,
Yeah.
and my father did it, my grandfather and his father and his father, and then the rotten Portuguese show up and burn it.
Yeah.
What's my incentive to do it again? Because I'd have to do it underground, kind of. Why would I want to go back and continue with the record since they'd all been burned before? What would be the incentive?
I cannot give the
Right.
answer fully because to a certain extent we can guess that's only. First of all, they might have written again certain things out of their memory, it is true. But the problem is that we had a bad culture of destroying things which we are not able to read. Even today, same thing happened. That means a huge volume of family books were recently sold by people. That means in the markets, you can even today get these kinds of books. I think Father Olba has seen it, in Matancheri.
It is so.
Yeah, the people are
Yeah, in
selling it.
antique stores to tourists.
They destroy. That means they are not conscious of the importance of these documents. When they get little bit of price, they will sell it. And recently, the people like me began to collect these materials. I started this family collection only in 2001 when I was appointed as the archivist. Before that, I had no idea of collecting these materials. And I was going through the bulletin of our archdiocese. In 1932, our archbishop at that time has given the instruction to the churches, you should not destroy the documents. I was going through. See, in spite of all the instructions, nobody preserved it. I don't know why. Maybe lack of the consciousness. They could not understand that these documents are going to be very important evidences for the situation. In the same way, this oldest copper plate, which belongs to the 9th century, people without knowing the value, they have given these documents to the Portuguese people. And the Portuguese people were keeping all these things in their warehouse. And when the warehouse was burned, since it was copper plate, nothing happened to it. And later, somebody has taken these materials, and not the one who has received from the Syrian Christians, and he kept it in his private custody. And after many years, seeing that these documents are going to be destroyed by someone, he kept it with him and slowly gave to the bishop. See, these are precious documents, should not destroy, never should hand over to anyone. Thus we have got those copper plates back. We have got altogether 9 copper plates, which belongs to the 9th century. That is the oldest record of the Syrian Christian community at present available in Kerala.
Now, this may be folklore, but my parents tell me that there were some that didn't cooperate with the Portuguese collection of the documents, and that there may be documents somewhere because there was a sort of a protest group of Christians who didn't hand over documents. Is there any truth to that?
See, there can be possibilities. That's why I told you we have got 3 4 manuscripts, pre-Dimber manuscripts. Why it was surviving? The only reason is that
Some
they
people kept it back.
kept
Yeah.
it themselves and thinking that these people may destroy it. But anyway, a good number of them, people were disobeying, it was quite impossible for them to disobey the church authorities. So obeying, they gave all these materials thinking that they will read it and correct it and give it back. Nothing happened. They were keeping everything together and burned it. So that was the story. Not a story, that was the reality which happened. And we have got evidences for the same. And see, even the Portuguese letters are there. See, the Portuguese missionaries, they have written to Rome that we have seen our colleagues, that means missionaries, destroying the rich resources of the Syrian Christians, and it is something improper to our culture. They have written to Rome. See, these are the evidences that they have destroyed the rich material, that means historical materials of Syrian Christian community. They never wanted to have a history for the Syrian Christians before their arrival. That was their prime intention, nothing else. Thus it happened. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Father Ignatius.
Yes.